On? Okay, we're on. Finally got it working. All right, so on this episode, I figure I would answer some questions that have been asked. Some of them have been asked a few times, so again, I bottled them into a few. Uh, I take the popular questions and I put them in and try to answer them the best of my ability. I got six of them here. Um, so let's get down to it. So first thing you notice, the first question is, how's the new place? I did move at the beginning, the end of April. The place where I was at uh, was getting basically rent evicted, so a lot of people lost their homes and moved into a new place here. A fairly large apartment, albeit in a basement, but still a very nice basement nonetheless. Um, Not a spider, nor a cockroach, nor nothing in sight, and that's a bit of a gem for the city, where prices on things are extremely high. If you live in British Columbia, if you're in Vancouver or Montreal um, or Toronto, you know your money isn't being spent very well living in those cities for rent. You pay way more than it was ever worth. Those of you who live in London, England, for crying out loud, you guys get absolutely destroyed for your rent. And for those in like Los Angeles or Tokyo, or even probably worst case would probably be New York, um, you guys pay a ton of money for finding places to live, like really disgustingly high amounts. So I'm kind of lucky here. Move is completed. Everything is cool, and it's much better to do recordings here if doable. I'm going to try to not do more recordings at the old location. Let's be honest, it was an office space that I borrowed for a while. So number two, recently I put a thing up on the Facebook page about saying that I have tendon damage in my right arm. Um, so what exactly happened? Well, I go to the gym a few days a week. Now I'm kind of off the gym for at least 2 weeks, unless I'm going to be sitting cycling and getting bored that way. But I do lift weights and whatnot, and I was doing pulls like this to work the back and the shoulder and back here, and whatever it is under here just went twang and let go. And it's weird because it hurt quite a bit, but it didn't stop me from making use of my arm. My arm still has generally full range of motion. It's just something in the tendons partially tore. I went and got checked out. Um, the first checkup basically said it looks like it's a micro tear here and there, but it's literally gone from here to here, straight into here. So it's diagnosed generally as a minor tear, major pull sort of thing. So I have a few weeks to rest up on that. It makes playing very, very difficult, though. That's why I can't actually to play. It does make a lot of pain in my hand and my wrist start up. It's really unfortunate. But oddly enough, the worst pain is right under the armpit where the tear actually originates from. And everything in my shoulder is always a bit hot feeling. So hopefully in time that'll get dealt with as I heal. So that's what happened to the arm. Next one. The old video I put up on YouTube, I think it was last year, of the basic Tommy Hayes playing method. I've had uh, a bit of praise for simplifying it and a bit of flack and whatnot. And all I can say is from the get-go, that was just something to share the basics of how he does it. I mentioned in the video, he's got his own, his own video, which he wasn't paid for, by the way. And David Kucherman on his YouTube page also has Tommy explaining his playing. And by all means, like, I am not a Tommy Hayes method player. Some people, though, consider that to be a useful method of playing. I think it's useful in some degrees, especially if you have fine control on it. And you should use it, but it is an extremely difficult method. And I'm not the best person to do it. I just put it out there because someone had asked about it. And enough people asked about it, so I just went and did it. I spent 4 months really working at it and then tried to give it some use. Do I actually use it? Yeah, I actually do use it in playing, usually on more percussive, slower pieces, but I wouldn't generally use it as my main method. But people who complain that I use the picture of Tommy in the thumbnail thing on YouTube or whatever, such old news now. It really doesn't bother me, and if someone doesn't like it, there's other people to watch, so it's hardly a big issue. What is the next video going to be? Well, considering I can't actually make a video of me playing, I've had not a few, but quite a few people requesting about the herd, my collection of drums and whatnot, which there is going to be. It's going to be filmed here. And thankfully, there's also going to be some audio to accompany each of them. Now, those of you who follow me for a while know that I've had some and got rid of some and gave some away or sold one and whatnot. Am I buying any more? The answer is no. I have no need for it. I'm really not going to be doing any more drum reviews in the future because for myself, it's very expensive to get them. But more importantly, that's less of an issue nowadays than it is learning techniques and trying stuff out. So, but it was fun. I do love product reviews. I watch lots of product reviews on YouTube and Vimeo and whatnot. I do love talking shop. But the next video I hope to do is going to be about the herd that I have and why I chose each instrument. A much more in-depth thing than the previous videos I did. A popular question is what pieces in Irish music does Balron not translate into? And I'm quoting that. I'm going to slightly rephrase it. What shouldn't you play to? And one of them is actually number 6, which is question number 6, the last one being waltzes. And again, I would slap waltzes into that because it doesn't particularly sound good. It's not a percussive instrument that works well with it. If you're playing trad music, you really shouldn't be playing waltzes. It sounds very strange. A way to get around it, though, is if you want to do like that whole jazz brush on the back of it and you're playing and you get a snare drum effect, that might be a good idea. That's very good for marches, especially if you got 2 drummers, one playing without that snare sound and one playing the snare sound. That's really nice. But waltzes, I wouldn't generally do that. Really, waltzes are the hardest thing I find. It's been asked before, what about things like, someone actually mentioned, would you play tango music with it? I'm like, I don't know, I've never tried, so I can't really answer that. To that, I don't have experience with it. I should try it and actually give you a better answer. Obviously, reels work. Obviously, most of the stuff out there works. One thing I would actually mention, though, is if it's a piece of music that you don't particularly like. So let's say you're at a session and you're playing, and just to say a jig comes up and you don't particularly like the set. You don't have to play it. And one thing I would recommend is trying to figure out sounds and playing methods that you don't like, that you don't want to use, and not using it. You don't have to play every piece, and you certainly don't have to accompany everything. Part of your job in a session setting is to provide atmosphere. Because the Balron being an accompaniment instrument, accompaniment percussion, that you'll probably serve better by not playing at all on certain pieces that you truly dislike. There's some really popular ones that we play and at the session I go to usually every week, and I won't play during them. I don't like those sets. I don't like those tunes, and I leave the drum out of it. I might pick up a guitar or something or a mandolin if someone will let me play it, but generally speaking, I typically have a selection of pieces that I just don't play to. I don't particularly like it. I don't think Balron gives anything to it, but that's just my opinion. I'm pretty sure people can find use for it, and I'm judging everything based on my perspective, hardly the perspective of other people. Because sometimes I don't even want to hear a drum in it. Waltzes being the one I don't ever want to hear a drum playing during a waltz. It makes no sense to me at all. Not really. Outside of an orchestral sense, like a big orchestra, I don't really see the need of it. So that's basically what's been going on with these questions and whatnot. These were the most popular questions. So hopefully those popular questions have now been answered, and maybe in a few weeks my arm will be back to playing. Until then, it's been mainly guitar. I play a lot of guitar, And at least that just requires more minimal movement in the stuff that I've been playing. So um, hopefully healing in the next few weeks. It's really annoying though. I'm right hand dominant, so my right hand is, most important to me in my day-to-day job. So life is a lot slower right now because of that. But thankfully, new place, new location, better sound in here for the most part. It's more like a studio. Living room section is a lot like a studio. And hopefully I can get you back to useful information again. I'm definitely not prioritizing putting videos out like I used to. I got a day job. I work 40 to 50 hours a week. I just don't have time to do it. And I don't have a lot of new stuff for people. My library is now pretty much full. Now it's just a matter of experimenting and seeing what works. I am still working on an African music adaptational video of about 5 minutes or so, just talking about it and giving some examples. There's one thing I want to add, and that is on YouTube, there's been some big issues about even if you give credit to a piece of music, you can still get either demonetized or whatever. I don't monetize any of the videos for the most part. There's only 2 that I've monetized, and they do not have enough to earn monetization. But generally speaking, I don't monetize videos for the most part. But I have had, people saying, well, or groups saying, well, you use this music. And I said, well, I asked for permission. He said, yeah, but we want to do this. Basically, the whole copyright thing on YouTube is annoying. And YouTube's getting really annoying, too, with the amount of advertisements that pop up. I really don't want ads on mine. That's why I don't monetize my lessons. All the money I make from my lessons is done face-to-face here in Ontario. And like I said, I have a day job. I don't have to charge anything if I don't feel like it. And in many cases, I just don't charge, to give lessons for the most part, unless they're formal. So, bit annoying with YouTube, because YouTube's kind of become a bit of a money grab and a weird place for arguing copyright law. It's really weird. In a world now where you don't buy video games, for example, you kind of lease them. There are issues with copyright strikes and things like that. I haven't had a copyright strike yet, but I've certainly had to change some videos in the past because of copyright claims. Even if I give with full permission, you can still get permission and then have someone make a copyright claim, which is really frustrating. And keep in mind, a lot of the times it's not someone who's paid to sit there and go through videos. It's algorithms searching for stuff that then highlight stuff to an officer or a clerk who works that job, and then they start going out there and making copyright claims for EMS, music, or Warner Brothers, or whatever. You know how it generally works. Yeah. So them's the questions for now. We'll see in the future, and hopefully in a few weeks I'll be back to making usable videos for lessons. But as of right now, I'm knocked out. Next video will be the herd video, and I can also strike up some of the Q&A on that too, because I have a lot of questions about one particular drum, and you'll be able to see why it was asked so many questions about. So until then, have a good night, and we're almost into summer. I can't wait. So hopefully the end of your late spring is beautiful. So have a good night, and I'll catch you again. Bye.